Will you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really interested in. And I apologize for my gas.
Oh, Jesus.
By the way, Aziz, let's talk about Aziz for a second. I thought he responded well to it because the woman writes this blog on babe.net or whatever describing this. And I had heard rumors about Aziz, not that he was next on the list. And I had never heard anything bad about the guy.
You had heard rumors that
something was going to come out about him? Yeah, but again, I would have said I'm not going to start a rumor about him. And then you read what it was, and I'm like, he just went on a date with a girl, and it didn't work out well.
Yeah, I read...
He was all right, yeah, so they didn't sexually communicate. He didn't fucking assault her.
I read the article, and he meets this girl, and whatever, they're texting or whatever, and then they end up going out on a date. He takes her to dinner, the whole thing, invites her back to his place. They go back there. And then, look, was he forward with what he wanted? Yeah.
Sure.
But I read it too, going okay, I'm ready to kind of... Because Aziz has definitely been one of those guys at the forefront of a lot of liberal, progressive political issues. So it's kind of like one of those things where you're like, oh, these guys are all hypocrites. And then you read the article and you're like, no, he's not a hypocrite. This is date behavior. And you could take from that article that men need to be more aware of women's nonverbal cues. Okay, well, women then should also be aware of men's nonverbal cues, or sometimes verbal cues, like, hey, do you want to come back to my apartment? While it doesn't entitle the guy to rape you, it certainly entitles the guy to be like, oh, I guess she's into me. Let me try to finger her a little bit.
Let me try to have sex with her. Yeah, the thing is...
Try. And do it in a way that's consensual, of course.
One of the things that happens is, and I've talked to a woman about this because she was describing something that happened to her. And I asked her, well, did he know you were uncomfortable? And she was like, well, no. And I'm like, you have to understand, we don't always know.
Right.
To most men, sexual assault is we throw you down and we take what we want and we don't listen. That's a man's idea of what assault is. So if we're doing something and you're just a little uncomfortable or you're very uncomfortable and we're like, come on, and then you're like, all right, and you do it, to most men, that's acceptable because you've said yes and we didn't force you to say yes. We figure you're holding out because you think you're supposed to hold out, and it's the game we play. You say no and we go, come on, and then if you really mean no, you get up and leave. Because most men are not going to hold you there.
Right.
Most men will respect your desire to leave.
And if they hold you there, then that's terrible. But and that's obviously wrong. That's assault.
And we know that's assault, and that's how most of us understand assault to be. But to say, hey, come on, suck my dick. Most guys who have gotten blown on a date would not have gotten blown on the date if they just said, would you care to suck my penis? And you said no, and we said, okay, and then didn't ask again.
Right. Or even it said at part of the article, they kind of stopped because he was getting weird vibes from her.
Yeah.
And started watching Netflix or something. Started watching Seinfeld. And then he started, kind of putting moves on her again, which again is acceptable because it's okay, maybe she thinks we're going too fast. Let me give her a little bit of time to get comfortable with me. And that's pretty normal behavior.
Because you can't always read the other person's mind. If someone says, I want to stop and I want to leave right now, and you hold them there, you're assaulting that person.
Right.
But if someone is getting up and they want to leave, I always assume people will just leave if they want to leave. They're adults.
Right. Especially if you're not stopping them at all.
Yes.
There's no pressure. Okay, you can go. There's this thing where if you're a celebrity, and the argument would be, Aziz is a celebrity, she didn't want to upset Aziz because she looks up to him because he's a celebrity. But it's okay, I get it if she works with him and he's pressuring her, but they're not on a date, they're just at work, then okay, you have a conversation to have there. But are celebrities not supposed to date anybody? Yeah,
you're on a fucking date with a guy. He wants to fuck and you don't. He doesn't force you to do anything.
Right.
What did he do when she wanted to leave? He called her an Uber?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. He let you go. You left.
And they didn't fuck.
They didn't fuck.
She blew him.
And the next morning when she wrote back, she wrote something to apparently he wrote her back, I guess I'm sorry, we miscommunicated. I really thought you...
Yeah. She wrote him a text that said, that was a terrible experience. And he responded to the text saying, I had no idea you felt that way, and I apologize.
Sometimes, and again, this is where men don't know. A lot of times we don't know you're not enjoying that experience. And then I saw some girl, that's what rape culture is. No, it's not. No, holding someone down and not listening to them say... no, not listening to somebody, not letting them up, forcing them to do something by whatever means you have, but just saying, hey, look, I want to fuck or I want a blowjob, and being persistent and somebody not getting up and leaving, that's not rape culture. That's just you're trying to get laid.
There was some of it. See, the problem is that, like, when you go and you start kind of callously, and if you get sexually assaulted, I would expect an article that you write about it to be callous towards the person that did this to you. But when you're like on a date like this and you callously write about what happened in a bedroom, it's gonna sound creepy. Like, you know, I don't think that Aziz needed everybody to find out that his move was to shove fingers in the mouth and the pussy, in the mouth and the pussy.
No, I don't understand that either,
No.
but I'm going to try it.
And you know, and maybe he's not the smoothest operator.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's okay if you're a little awkward in the bedroom with stuff like that. You know, that's a lot different from needing to call the forces. You know what I mean?
And some woman came out and actually defended him, and she wrote an article saying that this was or however many word thing of revenge porn. Like, she defended Aziz, saying that these are two people that are adults, and they were on a date. And look, they miscommunicated, and this stuff happens, and he didn't make her. And Me Too, you know, it's supposed to be about people who are assaulted. Like the Eliza Dushku, we should talk about that. Like, that's
real life.
What Me Too should be fucking addressing, is this culture of where a girl can be assaulted at age 12 on a set by a fucking stunt coordinator, and had people like her mother or something found out and knew about it, and then nothing gets done about it because they're afraid of the career. That's the type of shit you should be talking about. Not a date didn't go. If two adults make a decision, and you know, you're on a date and it doesn't go well, that's not sexual assault.
And it's like, you know, it felt like she knew Aziz a little bit, but really knew him from like Parks and Rec or something like that, right? And thought that, and just created this image of who this celebrity was in her head. And when he didn't match up completely with the image she created in her head, she felt bad. But like, you're allowed to feel bad. Like, it's not, if you're wrong, sometimes it's your responsibility for being wrong.
Yeah, and it's not always our decision to know that you're getting more uncomfortable. Like, she didn't fuck him because she decided she didn't want to fuck him, and she had the ability to leave. So if you didn't want to suck his dick, you had the same ability to leave. Yeah. And by the way, this whole forced you to suck dick, I know that can happen, and there's times where people are afraid for their life. I'm talking about when you're on a date, put a dick in your mouth, and it's really hard for someone to force you to bite it. I have a dick, and I'm telling you, if you bite it, the experience will stop. It hurts.
Or just, you know, if it's a scenario like this, be like, no, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that. Yeah. Do you know how many times I've been turned down? I
would imagine a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of sexually.
Have you turned down more or been turned down more?
I've been turned down more. I've turned down some though, but I've had a tremendous amount of turn downs in my life, and that's the way it is.
Yeah,
that's a part of it. I mean,
do you get aggressive and forceful?
No, you get annoyed. Right. Have I ever sulked? Yes. Have I ever tried to? Come on, what do you? Yes, of course.
But by the way, if you look at the psychology of this article, then somebody could write an article about you and go like, yeah, and then he acted upset with me, and I felt like I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, you had a choice because you didn't do it.
Right.
You left.
Right. You could. By the way, Jim Norton is allowed to be upset. So the guy you're with is allowed to be like, he's allowed to be bummed out.
He's allowed to be on a date because he wants to get laid. He's not allowed to make you do something you don't want to do. Or to force you or to make you feel afraid, knowingly make you feel afraid. He's not allowed to do that.
Because there were probably, when you misread, it's a two-way street. There were probably things that happened that Aziz misread.
The fact that she did it, or did it a little bit after he said that, he probably figured, oh, okay, she's just holding out, or, you know, hey, that's the way it is sometimes on dates. But whatever, man. We've all had those miscues, and it doesn't mean you write an article about the guy accusing him anonymously. The anonymous accusations drive me fucking crazy because you're not going to law enforcement. You're just writing a blog about a guy you went on a date with, and it didn't go the way you wanted it to. Fucking stop.
I don't mind if they're. I think it's the person printing its responsibility to be like, this isn't worthy of being anonymous. Like, if it's like a real, like, I fear for my life, there's a reason to be anonymous, but I want this in the press. Okay. But if it's this, the person publishing the thing should have been like, there's no reason for you to be anonymous here.
Right.
See, there's no crime. There's no, I don't know what you're doing. And here's what's going to happen. Because it's not sexual assault, and he's not being accused of sexual assault. The word
misconduct is the word of misconduct.
That's the new word. And
it's like saying teens for certain groups. It's just the word that the media can use where they can say something sexually bad happened,
right,
but they can't accuse you of a crime. So it's misconduct.
Sexual misconduct is getting so quickly way too broad, and it's when you start just letting it expand to anything you possibly don't like, it's going to trivialize, like the Eliza Dushkus, the Harvey Weinstein accusers, like all these people, their accusations are going to start getting trivialized because there will be a backlash from people. If stuff like the Aziz stuff keeps up, there will be a backlash from people being like, yeah, but now it's everything. And there's going to be people left going, no, this really happened. And they're like, but sexual misconduct. Nobody listens to that anymore.
It's already started to happen. Like, it's already starting to happen because of stuff like this.
Backlash.
Where it's just literally two people are on a date and they didn't communicate well. And I'm telling women, a lot of times men don't know you're uncomfortable. We really don't know. Of course. Because we don't see ourselves as threatening. We don't see ourselves as a menace. Unless you're a fucking animal and you know you're a menace and you're a rapist. And most men don't see themselves as that at all.
In most guys' head, they are looking for a yes or a no. You know what I mean? And either answer is acceptable, right? Like they might, like the girl you're with might say no because you haven't done this yet, blah blah blah. And okay, all right. Like it's not like this thing where it's like, well, then I'm gonna assault you. I'm asking you because if you say no, I'm gonna assault you.
And we've all every man who's ever been on a date with someone has been turned down, and we've all sulked about it. We've all been fucking no, whatever. All right, fine. Yeah, we have been because we're disappointed. But that's not rape culture. That's not we're entitled to fuck you because we are obviously respecting your ability to say no. We're allowed to be annoyed because you said no. If we felt entitled to fuck you, then we would try to make you fuck us. If we're accepting your no and going, all right, fuck, whatever. So what? We're being dicks about it. Okay, you're still allowed to get up and leave and to say, I don't want to be on this date anymore.
I see articles like this, and I get very glad that because it's only going, it's going to keep spiraling, and I get very glad that I've been in a relationship for however 13 years, however long it's been, where it's like none of this, like because now it's getting to the point where just pursuing. Did you toot a little?
A little bit.
You get nervous when we talk about this.
No,
stuff.
I just like when you talk about being happy.
But like now, just the pursuit of a woman can be misconstrued into quote unquote sexual misconduct.
And it can be, but it's already there. I don't think that's going to happen because already something like this happens, and he's a high profile guy, and he just won something, and already people are going, all right, stop it.
What may happen is, and this is bad for the movement. It's terrible for the movement, and this is also part of this is the hypocrisy of everybody in Hollywood deciding that like they're the ones starting this movement when you started the reason for the movement happening. Like, they're not calling people out at the same rate that they're trying to create awareness. But it's going to be this thing where it starts to splinter off, where, of course, everybody's going to be against sexual assault and rape and things like that. But there's going to be that sort of outrage group online that is trying to get everybody for anything, and then this over here and that over here. When you start to splinter off like that, you lose all kinds of power with your movement.
And then, and someone like Eliza Dushku, who just
actually, before you get to Eliza, do you want to? Because I want to give Greg in Texas on line one. He's
okay.
He's disagreeing. I think a little bit. So I wanted to.
What's up, Greg?
Hey guys, this is something that I've learned. I went through the Corps Cadets down at A&M, and we had long briefings on sexual assault, sexual harassment, and the sexual misconduct thing. And the two things that, if you are going to have any intercourse with any woman, you need are capacity and consent. She needs to have the capacity to say yes.
Yes.
If she's drunk, that's a no-no. And she needs to say a clear verbal yes. And the joke was, even if she is on top of you, that does not hold up in a court of law. Like, you need to make sure you get a solid consent. And when he's doing the Netflix thing where she's kind of given the cues of, I don't want to do this right now, because, think about it. Yeah, you want to try and get the girl comfortable. I've been on plenty of dates like that myself, but there's that whole, if she's not getting into it, there's something wrong there.
Wait, okay, so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Greg. She's not getting into it, but she is sitting down to watch Netflix. Like, she's not getting into it right now, but she's also not leaving. She's hanging out, which, as a guy, leads me to believe, okay, she's not into it in this moment because she wants things to go a little slower, but the door's open. Like she's not against doing this tonight.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
the
to me, that
ability.
would indicate she's uncomfortable.
Well, dude,
Something holding her back.
Well, dude, that's not always a man's responsibility to be a mind reader or a psychologist. When you're talking about the ability to consent, I agree with you about being drunk. If someone is loaded,
Sure,
and they can't make a decision for themselves, and you take advantage of that, that's one thing. All right, but if you go out with somebody, you have a couple of drinks, and then you come back, and then you're fooling around, it's not always your. They have the ability to consent or leave. She obviously had the ability to consent or not consent because she didn't have sex, and she wound up leaving. So, like, just
Yeah,
because.
exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
You're
You
right
can't.
on that.
You can't always read somebody's mind. That's the point I'm making.
Oh yeah, but there's also you got to be able to read the room, and also when you're in those situations, I mean, we're all people. Sometimes you don't hit the signals, but I mean, when a girl, you've had oral with a girl, and she's saying, maybe not, something's wrong.
Yeah. What if
And,
it's?
if you're not getting a full yes when you ask a chick, or are you okay with this? Do you want to keep going? That's when you start. You got to ask those questions. You got to put yourself in the situation to protect yourself.
Right.
nowadays you do.
But doesn't she have to say? And again, with two people in equal setting, which is just two people on a date, if you know she has the ability just to go, I want to leave right now, and you know she can leave because you're not going to stop her from leaving. Isn't
not
that?
chaining her to the bed.
Yeah, you're not saying you can't go. So isn't that kind of saying, look, if she wants to go, she'll go. If she doesn't want to do it, she won't do it. Like, how much more investigation does someone have to do when that other person, when you know as a man, you're never going to force anyone to do anything they don't want to do?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's also the thing you have to take consideration of is the implication when dealing with women as well in these situations and circumstances. This is something that was kind of brought up as a joke, but it's something that we kind of learned is something serious. The implication being that you do not want to put a woman in a situation where maybe you have more power over her, or she could be nervous about if things could go wrong if she says no.
Well, that's kind of the way what I was just saying is men don't see ourselves as scary. Men don't see ourselves as menacing because we know that most of us are not, and we're not going to make you do anything.
Some of us do. We know our physical strength.
That's, I mean, yeah, I was just saying most men, not the obvious choices.
Adonises.
Yeah.
That's it, because most men could overpower a woman to get what he wants in that situation.
Yeah, I understand that, dude. I understand that. So I guess that maybe we should have a thing, whereas if you're a giant bodybuilder, you should have different rules than a small guy. Like, Condoleezza Rice just recently came out and was talking about this movement.
Really? Congratulations to Condoleezza Rice.
No, not that kind of coming out. Just talk about this movie.
Oh.
And she said, we can't infantilize women. Like,
Right.
you don't want to look like, oh my God, I have to do her thinking for her. It's like, if I respect the person I'm out with as an adult, making adult decisions and informed decisions, my job is not to think for her.
Right.
You know what I mean?
True.
Just for her to avoid an uncomfortable moment. Like, maybe it is uncomfortable to get up and walk out on a guy. Okay, I understand that. But as an adult, I give you the credit for being able to make a decision that's slightly uncomfortable. Yeah, you want to leave. Fuck Jim. Leave. Leave me sitting there. It's okay. You're not going to be stopped.
You should try not to make an uncomfortable. Like, I get what you're saying, Greg, because the idea is that, like, you've got to trust that a woman will leave if she wants to leave, and a woman's got to trust that men aren't going to try to, like, make her
Make you stay, yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't think when I was reading this, like, Aziz was, he was being pushy.
Well, he's being pushy and a bit creepy.
But that's okay. You can be creepy. Like, people
Yeah, what do you
are
mean being
allowed to be
creepy? What do you mean being creepy? Hold on, Greg. What do you mean being creepy? Like, personally, I've never stuck fingers in the mouth in a place like that, like in the V. But like, if that's his thing, and some girls like it,
Well, no.
I don't think any
Here's what
girls
I
have
mean.
ever liked
how's
it.
he being creepy?
Well,
He is
here's the way I see it.
creepy.
When you're being pushy, when a guy's being pushy, he's being creepy. Because you're like, I love getting my ass eaten now. I love all that shit. But when you're kind of forcing a chick and just coming up with her, and because I remember that one section of the article, he came in the other room just kind of flashing her for a bit. I mean, there's a point where, everything's out in the open. But if you're not paying attention to those circumstances there, forcing a chick being pushy, forcing a chick to grab your dick several times.
Stop saying forcing, and kind of
like
forcing.
Kind of forcing.
With this dude, you keep saying
after the third
forcing.
time. Okay, well, here's what I mean by forcing. He took her hand and put her hand on his dick multiple times after she pulled it away.
Craig,
And
did
then
she
she was
walk?
like,
Did she
"You
leave?
touched it."
Did she say, "Look, I'm uncomfortable with that. I'm going to leave right now"? Like if you're out with somebody and they just put your hand on their dick, and you have the ability to just go, "I'm going to go," and you say, "I'm leaving." Do you know how many women would walk the fuck out if you did that to them?
Oh, yeah, I know that. But there's also she's unsure of herself in that situation, and she's at his place.
That's his responsibility then. So he should, again,
It's his
infantilize.
place. He has the power in the situation.
Oh, stop it, dude. Stop.
No, I'm serious, man. This is something we've learned. Like, when you're in every relationship, when you're in one of these encounters, can put one or other partner in a power situation, make the other person uncomfortable. It's one of those things where you're in an unfamiliar environment. You don't know the safety or circumstances of the area you're in.
Oh, okay.
It's not infantilizing women.
Yeah,
So, like,
yes,
if
it
you're
is.
at her apartment,
Oh, it'd be
if you're
different.
at her apartment, it'd be different.
Oh, okay, cool. So it's the location that makes it force or not force. I didn't realize it was a location-based issue.
Your
Well,
Honor,
partially
it couldn't have been rape. It was in her apartment.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
don't know what that
Because
holds
Greg,
up.
by that argument, then certain behaviors are more acceptable in her apartment than in your apartment.
Kind of, to a degree. I mean, we're not talking about
Arguments falling apart.
You're falling
We're
apart.
talking scale. It's just we were taught to scale in terms of, is this an uncomfortable situation? What you need to think about and pay
Look,
attention to.
Greg,
He's not
I think
confused.
Aziz was doing some stuff that was a little creepy, but I also think that creepy is allowed. Like, guys get creepy, and that's okay. Like, if girls don't want to be around
yeah.
creepy, that's okay too. Like, and I also think that if you're in the throes, right? If it's not like he went up to her at dinner and was
yeah,
like,
he didn't rape her.
here's my dick, and like just put it on her plate. Like as they were in the process of doing things, he put her hand on his dick, which I don't think is so crazy, because if they were going up to his apartment and making out and stuff like that, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for him to think that she's going to put her hand on my penis. Let me let her know that she should. And then, it's not like
It's the circumstance.
Yeah, I disagree, Greg. I know what you're saying. I just don't agree with you. I think that a woman, again, uncomfortable, force, coercion to the point of not letting someone leave, but trying to talk your way into sex, and the woman, and respecting the woman, her being allowed to say no and not forcing her to do anything. I'm sorry, uncomfortable is not assault. Someone's
You're
in
right.
it. Do you know what I mean?
I will say it's not assault, but it's definitely it's a gray area that I think Aziz put himself in a bad situation per se by not being able to read the room, and I think people
So
would
did she.
benefit, as guys.
Yes.
By the way,
We would benefit better from being able to, I guess, learn that a bit.
I think you're right, but both people would be better, would learn if they had communicated, because she also put herself in a bad situation by not
she
doing
did.
certain things, an uncomfortable situation. I've been out with girls and they've come back over, and I literally was not going to try to fuck them, and I've had girls go, "I'm not fucking you." Like before they come. I've heard that a lot.
I've said that at your
unfortunately.
apartment.
Yes, you have, and then we partnered up, and you sure did.
guess what ends up happening every time?
All right, thanks, Greg. We get a lot of calls.
Oh,
We
yeah,
appreciate
well,
it.
Did you guys see about the app where you can get consent? It pulls up a consent contract.
Yes.
Did you guys hear about that?
But even that, dude, will eventually fall apart, because then people will say, "No, I was under duress, or I felt pressured," or dude, with human interactions, there is
He
not
told
always
me he would tell my boss if I didn't sign the consent app.
there's not always a black and white answer when it comes to human sexual interactions between people that don't
is
know each
true.
other. You know?
But that's true. It's one of those things that seems like it could help the circumstance a bit.
Maybe.
Yeah, I just think that if we're thanks, buddy.
All right, thank you, Ray.
I just think that
All
if
we have to do
we're
is protect ourselves.
if we're
Guys,
taking care of the if we're trying to demonize the people who are on level 1, then it's completely distracting everybody who's on level 10, which are the really bad people.
And there was a woman who disagreed with that guy who I wanted to go to, but Mary in Pennsylvania. Hello, Mary.
Hi, I'm so excited I'm on.
Of course you are.
yeah, I'll bet, Mary.
You guys.
How do I sound in person? A little deeper, a little sexier than you imagined?
Yes, you do. You sound very hot, just like you look.
Oh, cut it out, you.
Mary, if you were here, Jim and I would each take one of your hands. And, wow. Anyway, go on. Mary.
Go on now.
Anyway, what happened to women just saying no? The accountability of just saying no and walking away. Why are we... I don't understand what's happening.
Aziz is a
the woman
physically
should just say,
intimidating
no,
man.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to suck your penis. Like, Walk away.
It because what happens is you take the guys who are tremendous animals, like, and then everyone gets kind of lumped in because it just becomes this thing, and because it's something to talk about. Like this Aziz blog, I'm glad like the mainstream press didn't cover it until it was already out there and as a story, and someone's pushing back on it. Mm-hmm. Because that's what starts to happen is the movement starts to get watered down and fucked up with just nonsense.
Yeah.
It's so embarrassing for women, though. I mean, come on. A guy wants a BJ, you just say no. Be like, I'm not into that. What else are we going to do? If we're not doing anything, I'm going to leave.
Right.
Whatever happens.
You want to watch Seinfeld?
Being accountable. I can't stand all this women being the victim all the time. I'm just over it. Like, come on, we're smart. We're logical people.
Who run the world? Girls.
And women will leave, by the way.
Stop acting so like, oh my God, I felt so pressured to give a BJ. No, you didn't. You wanted to impress him because he's a movie star, and you did it, and then later you logically thought about it.
TV star.
And then you were embarrassed.
Women will leave. Women will leave your apartment if they don't want to do anything. Women will say no to going back to your apartment. I've been told no many times by women who I wanted to come back over. Do you want to come over? And then honestly, as somebody I wouldn't have tried to fuck, like it was a first date or whatever, just to hang out, and I've heard no. Nah, I'm not comfortable. No. I was with a girl walking.
I said no. I've been like uncomfortable, and I'm like, no, I'm good.
I went to dinner with a girl. I'm like, do you want to come up? Afterwards, she walked me back, and she's like, no, I'm going to go home.
Right.
And I wasn't going to try to fuck her.
Woman.
I was just going to sit outside. I'm like, come on. I'm like, we'll just sit outside. We're not going to meet. She's like, no, I'm going to go home. I'm like, all right. And you know what? I was annoyed, but I didn't go, fuck you, bitch, in the street. I was like, all right, she wants to leave. What am I going to do? It is what it is. That's what dating is.
Women making poor decisions and then later on logically being like, oh my God, and then saying I was forced or I felt uncomfortable. So what? You were uncomfortable. That's what happens when you're dating. You get uncomfortable. And then you make a decision and you hold yourself responsible or go on with life. Don't freaking go online and start venting about it. I'm just over it. That's all. I don't want.
Thank you, Mary.
I want to hang up.
Mary's on fire. You want to go to Amy there on line 5?
I figured you'd want her. Hello, Amy.
I know it's not a plug for Chip, but
I agree with Sam. She says, "Fucking Bobo was on my show."
No, I heard about that.
He was great.
I heard. No,
you were there.
No, I know I was there. I remember.
What's up, Amy?
Yeah, I agree with Mary too. Women just need to step up and say no. All this crying wolf. You know what it is. It's you work so hard to get to a place in culture where women have this equality. You have the right to say no. You don't like it, say no. You're not happy with it, say no. All these women who are saying, oh, he was creepy. Yeah, guys don't get it. Guys don't pick up on those cues. You have to just be straightforward and say, you know what? This isn't good for me. I don't want this.
Because let me.
Step away.
How old are you, Amy? Can I ask how old you are?
I am 39.
Okay, so you're taught growing up, right? That when, like, a lot of times a guy's going to want to do something, and you can't just suck his dick in the car because that makes you look easy or makes you look like a whore. So you're taught, no, I don't mean like whenever she says no, she means yes. But you're taught as a woman that there's like it's like a dance we do. It's a social dance. There's a give and take.
It is. But there's this give and take. And, my mom says the same thing, and she grew up in a different culture, and she says the same thing. There's this give and take. Women play this game where it's hard to get, and men are picking up on this. Well, she's acting this way. And, yeah, men are going to try. Men are going to try to get what they want, and you know what? Either you're into it or you're not. And you have to be strong enough to say, you know what? I don't want to do that. But, women have a right. Women have a right also to not string guys along. I think women do that a lot too. They're stringing these guys along, and guys get the wrong idea. Like, yeah, like, oh, she's kind of into me. Let me try to see what I can, what we can do.
It's really interesting.
Women are doing the same thing. I mean, come on.
It's really interesting. Thank you, Amy. I've talked to like female friends, right? And they're
Why'd you say friends in air quotes?
Friends. I talked to my girlfriends, and like I've talked to them about like guys who are talking to them in their DMs and stuff like that. And they're like, no, I'd never do anything. And I'm like, well, what are you doing then? What are you talking? And they're like, oh, these are just my buddies. And I'm like, what? That terminology has been used.
No, I know.
I go, what? And they go, well, no, it's just my buddy. Like, it's just my friend that I met on Twitter.
Right.
And I talked to some of them are like, I met this guy from TV on Twitter. and like we just talk on DMs. We're just buddies, and I'm like, that's not what's going on.
That's not what he wants.
Right. That's not what's happening. Yeah. And like, I don't know if like sometimes there are women who are delusional about that, or do you think that they're delusional about it or that they're lying?
I think it's both. I do think women are delusional, and I think if it's kind of like an unwritten thing where if a guy invites after a date, if a guy invites you back to his place, chances are he's going to try to fuck you.
Right.
That's just the way it is.
Now that doesn't mean that if you go back with him, you're responsible for it.
You don't have
but
to.
It does mean that you shouldn't be shocked when the conversation or the physical actions lead in that direction.
Right. Or if you're flirting with him the entire date.
Right.
And then, you're being overly flirty, you're kissing or whatever. He says, come back. You say, okay. And then he gets back there and he's acting like an animal. Obviously you don't have to say yes, but like, don't be shocked by his behavior.
Don't be surprised is all. Just be ready to say no, and the guy should absolutely still accept no.
Yeah, of course. You're not supposed to rape people or assault them, but the bottom line, but again, men just go on and try to act like they're heroes for not being rapists. We're not supposed to be rapists, but it doesn't mean you're a fucking an assaulter if you're trying to get your dick sucked.
Right.
Or you're trying to get laid.
Would you please touch my wiener?
And I think sometimes, I don't even know if women are delusional, or sometimes I think that they know, but they don't want to know. Like there's times with the whole guy friend thing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times women pick up on the energy. They're very perceptive. They know what we want, but they're trying to make it not true because they're not interested in that. But I think women have a better ability to value you as a person and not be sexually like guys. A lot of times it's harder for us to have a hot female friend because we want to fuck you.
Right.
But I think women are much more capable of having a friend that's male that they're not fucking.
Right.
They're really comfortable doing that.
Like I had these conversations and I go, okay, all right. So if this is just your buddy, why is this person not buddies with any guys like that? Like, there's no guy that this person is like DMing and being flirtatious with and sending emojis to. Like, that's not happening. So if it's just buddies, what makes, no offense, but what makes you the special person that he's like wants to be buddies with?
Well, I think,
and then they go, well, we just click. Oh, okay.
Do you know why I think women do it? I think because to acknowledge it out loud to themselves means that they can't be friends with the guy anymore.
Right.
I don't think they're lying. I think a lot of times women like you as a person and they want to be your friend. They love hanging out with you. They have fun with you. They know every woman has the guy friend or a few guy friends. You know the guy wants to fuck you because he always badmouths your boyfriend and he says dickhead things like, hey, if you ever really need to talk, that jerk off guy friend thing. You know what he wants. But you don't want to even acknowledge it to yourself because then you have to address the fact we're not in this for the same reasons. What do I want to do here?
And it also probably not by not addressing it, it doesn't make you feel worthless.
Well, it also makes you. What do you mean?
Because if you're a woman and you're like, no, he's just my buddy, when in reality, in the back of your head, like, no, he just wants to fuck me.
Oh.
Then that means that you're worried. All you are to him is just somebody that he's trying to fuck.
Right.
When you are valuing the friendship as a friendship.
And you want to look at like he's valuing it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he's in love with you.
In love, yeah.
And you're not romantically attracted to him.
At all.
But it's nice to have a friend, and you get all these little things
Little
with
perks.
it. You get all these little perks, and you're not really ready to say goodbye to the perks. And you like having
and he's a fun guy.
And he's a fun guy. He's like one of your girlfriends, except he pays for dinner.
Yeah.
And you like that.
And you like that. And you know he's not a threatening guy.
But when he goes like, I feel a certain way about you. You do not. It is not. I guess you have the right, but it is wrong to be like, what? Like,
yeah, you knew.
Really? No, don't say that. You're gonna ruin the friendship.
You're gonna ruin the friendship.
Don't ruin the friendship.
Stop. You know he feels that way.
It's such a great friendship.
You're right. Not even about sex sometimes. Sometimes the guy's just in love with you. He's not even thinking of fucking you. He's just in love with you.
He wants you to be his girlfriend.
And if you acknowledge that, then you have to address it and go, okay, this guy's motives are not the same as mine. If both people don't have the same motives in a friendship,
right?
I have hot female friends that I truly don't want to fuck.
Sure.
And both motives are the same because they don't want to fuck me either. But if I'm just trying to fuck you and you're my friend, then I'm not going to be a great friend to you because I'm not going to give you honest opinions. I'm going to skewer everything in a direction that makes you want to fuck me.
And girls sometimes dangle that carrot just because they like the attention.
They get a little more flirty, and you're like, oh, maybe this is going in that direction. And then they pull it back.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe Maybe it's not.
I mean, I was just literally just in dating somebody that was sort of the same thing, and she was just stringing this guy along because he would take her out to really nice restaurants.
Did you think it was funny?
Did I think that was funny? No.
Did you like it, or did you say, "What are you doing with this guy"?
I was like, what are you doing? You're leading him on. You're dangling the carrot in front of him. You know what I mean? And it's just you're stringing this guy along.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I know, but he takes me out to really nice restaurants and places I can't afford.
Well, has she made it clear to him that they're not going to date?
She made it clear that she doesn't want to fuck him, but they would make out.
It doesn't matter.
Hold hands.
They'd make out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Then she's being, But then again, if she told him she didn't want to fuck,
It's the same thing, though. It's the same. It works the same way in reverse. Like if you're a girl, if a guy's in love with you, and you tell him, I don't want to, we're not going to fuck, and then like you'll go out with him like just alone, you'll make out with him a little bit, you'll do this. He thinks he's going to be able, no, she's going to realize and she'll fall in love.
Exactly.
Do you know how upsetting it would be if you're that guy who's getting pity makeouts and like buying all the friendship dinners to find out that like the girl that you're doing that is talking about you to Troy, and that's the one who's
awful.
fucking the girl?
Yeah, it's terrible.
I'd be really upset.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
Callie in Texas has a point. Hello, Callie.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm pretty damn good, sitting outside my work, not going in, talking to you.
Okay. What kind of a job? Are there people's lives depending on you?
Not unless your life depends on signs being made.
Well, it depends on what.
Okay.
Stop. My life is dependent on stop.
That's true.
Go ahead, Cal. I'm being cute.
Okay, Jesus.
So here's my thing about all this, and I feel like nobody's actually bringing it up, is that, yeah, a guy can be intimidating. That's fine, whatever. Chicks can fucking be intimidating too. I've gone both ways. Never once in a situation have I looked at it, gone out with somebody, and been like, well, if they invite me back to their place, I'm going to go, but I'm not going to do anything. That's bullshit. You need to know who it is you're with, and you need to know that if you go somewhere else with them, if you go out to dinner and then you go back to their place, 9 times out of 10, something's going to happen. My fiance now, when we got together, we flat out said it, look, I want to fuck, you do too, so let's go out, let's do something, and he invited me back to his place, and guess what? It happened, and he's twice my size. I never once thought, well, if I get up and leave, what if he makes me? What if he makes me stop? No, because nowadays that's the normal thing. Everybody wants to be a victim. Nobody wants to stand up and be like, well, look, I don't like you that way. You're not my cup of tea. Deuces, bye. And that pisses me off. Nobody wants to actually look at who they're out with. You always go out with these people and you think, oh, it's going to be so fun. I've got a date. But you never once think, okay, well, ahead of time, think about it. What if you did get put in that situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got to be careful who you go out with. It's very true. And by the way, a lot of the women calling, thanks, Callie, agree with us. If there's women that disagree with us, you can call too. I mean, we're not.
Yeah, but guess
put you
what?
through.
Yeah, you can call if you want. Something bad might happen, though.
And Chris in D.C. has a good point. What's up, Chris?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, buddy.
Show.
Hey, thanks.
Hey, you kind of touched on it earlier with the size factor, but one of the things that a lot of people don't discuss is if you don't have an intimidating character, let's just say it's book nerd Joe, and he's out on the couch and he's making out with some girl, but they're both drunk, it's still going to fall, and I can't wrap my head around why, as his fault. Because you were saying earlier that if a girl is drunk, she's not in the right mind. She can't make the right decision as far as whether or not to proceed with sex. But what happens if they're both drunk? Doesn't that same excuse extend to the man?
I agree. But as long as you're not forcing somebody, but if both people make a dumb decision drunk,
right?
It's both people's dumb decision. You're right. That does tend to fall as a guy's responsibility to maybe because we have the physical ability to quote unquote overpower. I'm not only saying quote unquote overpower because if you're both really drunk, you might not be overpowering at all. You might just be doing a dumb thing. I don't know why that is that way, dude. I guess you just got to be really careful if you're drunk.
All right, brother.
As a man.
Take care, guys.
Thanks. We got a break. We got Michael Pena coming in.
Oh, yes.
And Travis just whispered in my ear.
Ooh, lucky
and,
you.
And he's promoting 12 Strong. It's in theaters this Friday. I've been wanting to talk to Michael Pena for a long time. I like him a lot.
Yeah, me too.
He's in one of my favorite films. And he's a wonderful actor.
Yeah.
And he's been in a lot of things. He's been in Observe and Report. He was very good in. He was in Crash, of course, which I love. Tower Heist. Gangster Squad. American Hustle.
End of Watch.
End of Watch.
Mm-hmm.